So, David, I want to get to your story in the American Prospect of about the FTC, because we've seen a couple of instances in the past couple of weeks where the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, has been I don't know, anemic, or I don't even know what to call it. I don't know if there's an adjective in terms of what they're doing. But before we do, I want to stay on the piece that you wrote about Democrats missing one huge element that needs to be addressed in the context of health care reform in this country. And that is, we hear a lot about, dealing with the insurance companies. But you've made the point that the primary problem with healthcare in this country is its cost. Certainly, the bureaucracy involved is also annoying, but the cost is the big element, and that the main driver of costs of healthcare in this country are the providers, the doctors, and the hospitals in particular, or hospital groups. That are beginning to become heavily concentrated, and therefore, in some respects, are hoping to make themselves immune from the buying power that would come with a single payer system, so that they could basically say, like, you may have a monopoly over your buying powers, a monopsony, but we have a monopoly over providing care. So, that restaurant, Memorial South, we own it. We own Memorial North. So if you want to go get some health care, right, you got to come to us. Right. So what if you were running for president, David Dayen, what proposal would you include alongside your single payer health care to address that? Or is it more just making the public more aware of it, or is it both?
I think it's both. We have to break up the concentrations of power in this medical industry, the medical industrial complex. From 1998 to 2018, there were over 1,600 hospital mergers, most of them that weren't even looked at because they fall under the threshold whereby the antitrust authorities have to look at them. I would eliminate that, particularly in healthcare, and look seriously at breaking up these concentrations of power. Surprise billing should be banned. It's ridiculous that somebody who is in no position to shop around to find somebody in their network gets hit with these surprise bills. The uninsured should not be charged 10 times the cost of care that insured people are. Prices should be transparent, which is something actually the Trump administration is trying to do to a small degree, and the hospital industry is squealing about it. That's another danger here. You have Trump getting to the left of Democrats on health care with that particular provision, looking for transparency in prices at hospitals, which you pretty much can't get right now. So there are policies that can be taken, but I think the awareness is just as important. And as I said, I get it. Doctors are the people that heal you. Insurers are the companies that hassle you and try to restrict your care. It's an easier villain to depict the insurance industry or the drug companies than it is hospitals and doctors. But that approach has not worked historically in healthcare. The power of the hospital industry, the power of the medical industry has prevailed by and large. And so we need a different approach, and we need a set of policies that would actually limit that power so that a future reform to the healthcare system can actually be effective.
I mean, so from a rhetorical standpoint, we got to make the point, too, that I guess what you're saying is that hospitals are price gouging because they can.
Without question.
And they're trying to set themselves up to price gouge even when there's a single payer. All right. Well, look, we only have about 4 minutes left. So I want to get to this story about the FTC. There's really a couple of them. But a week or two ago, I saw that Facebook got a huge fine. And then I realized they don't care. And all they cared about was just making sure that Mark Zuckerberg didn't have to testify. And so there's more to that story. It's ridiculous.
It's completely ridiculous. The director of the Division of Enforcement, the associate director, I should say, a guy named James Combe, who put this settlement together, admitted during the public announcement of this fine, which was $5 billion, that the FTC got more money that they would not have otherwise in exchange for not going further, for not forcing Zuckerberg to testify, for dropping the case. Now, Sam, I believe that we have a name for that, and it's the name is bribe. You're basically having Facebook say, we will give you more money if you end this case, and the FTC saying yes and announcing it publicly that this is what they did. I'm shocked that this isn't a bigger scandal.
I mean, you can't just go in. Well, I mean, there's something wrong with the FTC that they don't want to investigate. Now, why don't we have congressional hearings on this?
Well, I mean, we are having hearings about big tech, right, through the House Judiciary. But I think the FTC itself needs to be scrutinized. And in fact, this week, or in the past several days, a progressive group called Demand Progress has called on the FTC to investigate the FTC. And let me explain why. So the other big settlement that the Federal Trade Commission made was with Equifax, who we know had a data breach. 147 million people had their personal information exposed to all. And they did this settlement that the top line figure was $700 million. One of the things in the settlement they said was, well, you have two choices. If you were affected by this, you were one of the 147 million, you can go to this website, you can either get this 10-year credit monitoring service, or we'll give you $125. You pick, right? After the first week of this website being up and the claims coming in, the FTC changed their mind and said, well, we only had $31 million earmarked for cash payments, and too many of you are asking for the $125. So really, you should go for the 10-year credit monitoring. It's much better. Now, what that actually is deceptive advertising. I mean, the FTC came out, said, here, you can take $125, and then they changed that a week later. The agency that has jurisdiction over deceptive advertising is the FTC. So this is an agency that doesn't even really treat the victims of things under their control any better than the crooked telemarketers who they're supposed to bust. And so Demand Progress said that, they put this thing at failedtradecommission.com, where you can demand that the FTC investigate the FTC, issue immediate cease and desist order to itself, and prohibit itself from making future deceptive statements.
Well, people can check that out. I'm going to go there right now. David Dayen, always a pleasure.